Did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with... Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food? Injections? It's important the entire world learns of your experience.
That's enough!
The teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS T-Drift.
Nice to be in orbit.
Broadcasting from the Forest Tower Studio in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. I'm Joe Roop, and this is Lighting the Void. Voices for Verity in this damn crazy realm of polarity. It is Wednesday, March the 7th, another cool and crisp and clear night for sky watching in the natural state, and the moon is waning on into midnight. You know what to do. Fire up your chakras, sync both hemispheres of your brain together, and shoot your magical beam of light through your third eye tonight with us as we peer into the void between spirituality and science. Thanks for joining us. If this is the first time that you have ever listened to the show, you can listen to the show live on the Fringe FM, and it's also heard on lightingthevoid.com, TalkStream Live, TuneIn, Spreaker, iTunes Radio, Radio Guide FM, and Radio Garden, and more by proxy via the Fringe FM. Every now and then we'll have a bit of an issue with internet, and if that happens to you, we have a call-in line. The TalkStream number line will allow you to listen to the show. It's 701-719-3971. The call-in number for the show tonight is 501-777-5631. It's Hump Day. Thank you all for your support, your reviews, your likes. If you find anything of value from the show or the Fringe FM, your donations will be much appreciated. I am so stoked about the upcoming stuff that's coming on the network, as well as the guests that we're going to have on Lighting the Void this month. It's going to be a pretty stellar month, I can tell you that. I wish I could tell you some of the guests that are coming on, but the surprises are so big that I really don't want to give it away. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good. It doesn't matter. I think that if I gave it away, it wouldn't matter. But I like to keep surprises for you. So let's see here. Tonight's going to be a pretty cool night, man. We're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects that's out there, other than astral travel. You know what my other favorite subject is? Astral travel, aliens. The other one is magic. So we're going to be discussing my second favorite topic in the world besides astral travel. Magic, but this is kind of a different kind of magic, actually. A little bit of ceremonial magic. Frater Ashen Chassan will be joining us to discuss Solomonic Magic. And I don't really understand. I get this a lot, why some are so afraid of it, especially when they see what's called high magic. The magician in the circle, vibrating names or mantras untold. Some say it's eerie or even spine-tingling, but I think it's kind of beautiful, to be honest with you. And the reason why I say that when it comes to ceremonial magic is we've seen this our whole life. We've seen it in our churches. We've seen it in the shaman's journey. We've seen Native Americans do it. So it's really no different when you see a Western occultist do it. It's kind of pretty much the same thing. It's just a different style. So, but there is a little bit more to it. We're going to get into that. I also want to thank Ronnie McMullen for coming on last night, and Everett Themer. That was a pretty cool show, for coming on the show last night. If you missed it, you can check that show out on our archives. Our archives are free on any podcast app. It doesn't matter if it's iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker. Anybody that syndicates a podcast, you can get all of our archives for free. And speaking of Ronnie McMullen, make sure that if you're into CBD oil, you can get the best stuff on the planet if you go to ancientlifeoil.com. Make sure you say Joe Roop sent you, and that will also help support the show as well and the network. Let's see here. I did get some emails last night asking about Leo. And I just want to say to those people, I really appreciate that. People who understand, you cat people out there. He's doing fine. He's screaming his head off because I won't let him outside. But right now, until that gunshot wound heals, I'm kind of afraid to let him outside. And it just bothers me. Somebody out there just hates cats so much they try to kill them. And that's not an Arkansas thing, man. That happens all over. But it's still embarrassing. Don't forget to download the Fringe FM app on your Google Play or iTunes App Store. If you get that, that'll work every time. I know last night, TalkStream Live shut down just for a little bit. I don't know if they got just a super influx of traffic or what happened, but it shut down. So that's why I tell you guys, if you got the Fringe FM app, it's usually there. It usually works 99% of the time. I think they guaranteed me like 99% uptime or something like that, but 99.9%. But yeah, go to the website, sign up for the newsletter so we can do the drawing. I told you I'm not going to do another drawing until gets back to me and tells me he's got these DVDs in his hands, and then we'll do another one. I'm a man of my word. I got to keep my word. That's important to me. Yeah, so I know this is like small fry stuff, but our Facebook page hit like a mild point, and it's like at 600 likes. I don't even think it's a year old, but it's at 600 likes already. That may be small fry for you, but that's big for me. And I mean, gratitude is the attitude of the season for me. I'm so thankful to all of you that follow and like the show, as well as on YouTube, just for subscribing and liking that. I can't be thankful enough. And usually this thing will germinate the way it needs to, and we'll get our own little crowd here. It may take a little bit more time, but 600, that's a big number to me. So, all right, let's get back on the subject of magic. I want to talk to you about some things. I had some friends of mine send me some, I guess you could say like clips of some scary stuff in magic. And I'll tell you why. People wonder why Joe likes magic so much. I'll tell you why. Because I like astral travel. That's why. And any magic book that I read about any magician, they seem to be able to do things in the astral realm that regular people can't do. And to me, that's amazing. When it comes to overcoming things, protection, going places, controlling their situation, these magicians are really good at it. I'm not saying that there's other people that aren't either. It's just I like the style, right? And somebody sent me some invocations of Aleister Crowley that sounded real creepy, and he's like, "Oh, this is the stuff you're into, right? This ought to get you going." He. Yeah, I get the joke, but really, that's not what I'm into. And I mean, Aleister Crowley was into some of the stuff that I read, but he kind of did his own thing. And so every magician, just like every shaman and every Native American and everyone that does their rituals or meditations have their own style. And Aleister Crowley's style was deep, dark, and scary. But what I want to do before I get into the Gilson report is I wanted to play you a couple of magical invocations. I'm not trying to scare you, okay? But I want to get this sensational stuff out of the way because what's coming up next is going to be very informative. And so one of them is by a late great friend of mine, Stephen Ash, and the other one is kind of cute, but I'll tell you about that one in a minute. So this one I tried to play one night, and it didn't go over very well. So, yeah, I think Frater Chassan's having some issues with his computer. Speaking of which, did you guys know that Windows is going to be like installing artificial intelligence on its next update? I'm not playing. It's coming. So if you guys, that next huge update you do on Windows 10, you're going to be installing the big AI thing on it. Just letting you know. Okay, here we go. what I'm going to do is play Stephen Ash's the Kabbalistic Invocation. If you don't have to be in the Kabbalah, but to me, this is beautiful. And the next one I'm going to play is going to be by Israel Regardie. Just to, show you that it's not all that scary, okay? Unless this does scare you, then I don't know. Let me know.
Be favorable unto me, O ye powers of the kingdom divine. May glory and eternity be in my left and right hands, so that I may attain to victory. May pity and justice restore my soul to its original purity. May understanding and wisdom divine conduct me to the imperishable crown. Spirit of Malkuth, thou who hast labored and hast overcome, set me in the path of good. Lead me to the two pillars of the temple, to Yakan and Boaz, that I may rest upon them. Angels of Netzach and of Hod, make ye my feet to stand firmly on Yesod. Angel of Gedula, console me. Angel of Geburah, strike if it must be so, but make me stronger, so that I may become worthy of the influence of Tifereth. O angel of Bina, give me light. O angel of Chokmah, give me love. O angel of Kether, confer upon me faith and hope. Spirits of the yet erratic world, withdraw me from the darkness of Asaya. O luminous triangle of the world of Beriah, cause me to see and understand the mysteries of Yetzirah and of Atzilus. O holy letter Shin, O ye Aishim, assist me by the name Shaddai. O ye cherubim, give me strength through Adonai. O Benai Elohim, be brothers unto me in the name Zaboah. O Elohim, fight for me by the holy Tetragrammaton. O Malachim, protect me through Yehovah. O Seraphim, give me holy love in the name Eloah. O Chazmelim, enlighten me by the torches of Eloi and the Shekinah. O Aralim, angels of power, sustain me by Adonai. O Ophanim, forget me not and cast me not out of the sanctuary. O Hioth HaKadosh, cry aloud as an eagle, speak as a man, roar and bellow. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Shaddai, Adonai, Yehovah, Echie, Ashe, Echie. Amen.
Okay, so that is probably the scariest thing you're going to hear, and that's not really scary if you paid attention. He was going down the tree of life from the top down. He was invoking the angels. He was using Hebrew names. And if you come from a religious, I guess, Judaic Christian background, that stuff helps you. If you come from an Eastern background, maybe not so much. But he called upon the angels, all the different sets of angels, all the Sephiroths on the tree. It wasn't evil. He wasn't invoking any kind of crazy pit demon or anything like that. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, why maybe they do that. So now the next one I was going to play for you guys. You remember how a lot of people talk about the heart of a child, and I was just watching that movie Dark Tower last night. I don't know if y'all seen it with Matthew McConaughey, and they're talking about these star seeds, these children that are star seeds, and they got to take down this sorcerer who's a demon, and he just keeps putting these sin spells on people of hate and all this other thing. Like, he's pretty powerful in the movie. I don't want to give the movie away, but it was kind of cool if you're into sci-fi and stuff like that. Well, when you do, I don't know if you guys remember when you were little, but you would do little rituals, ring around the rosy, stuff like that, but those are kind of creepy. But other things, you could pretend and do all these things. Use your imagination, use your visualization. And these things, to me, are your biggest powers. These are the biggest things that we have forgotten about as adults. We get laughed at when we do stuff like this. You know, that's why most magicians, they have their own booth and things like that. But the next one I'm going to play is from a guy named Israel Regardie. Now, he's got kind of a speech thing, and this is more Egyptian, more of Egyptian invocation, but he's got kind of a speech thing going on. But I just want you to see the beauty of, let's say, I think this one is where he is invoking Thoth, the god of wisdom. And Israel Regardie was one of the first magicians on the scene, and I've read a bunch of his books. I actually read one on the air one time, if you go back in the archives. So this one's kind of cool, and it's kind of, you can tell the child in him is really coming out in this one.
Procul esti profani, or lasti ompeda. In the name of the mighty and terrible one, I proclaim that I have banished the shells unto their habitations. I invoke Tahuti, the Lord of wisdom and of utterance, the God that cometh forth from the veil. O thou majesty of the Godhead, wisdom-crowned Tahuti, Lord of the gates of the universe, thee I invoke. O thou of the ivy's head, thee I invoke. Thou who wieldest the wand of double power, thee I invoke. Thou who bearest in thy left hand the rose and cross of light and life, thee I invoke. Thou whose head is as an emerald, and thy nemes as the night sky blue, thee I invoke. Thou whose skin is of flaming orange as though it burned in a furnace, thee I invoke. Behold, I am yesterday, today, and the brother of tomorrow. I am born again and again. Mine is the unseen force whereof the gods are sprung, which is as life unto the dwellers in the watchtowers of the universe. I am the charioteer of the east, Lord of the past and of the future. I see by mine own inward light, Lord of resurrection, who cometh forth from the dust, and my birth is from the house of death. O ye two divine hawks upon your pinnacles, who keep watch over the universe, ye who company the bier to the house of rest, who pilot the ship of wrong, ever advancing onwards the heights of heaven, Lord of the shrine which standeth in the center of the earth. Behold, he is in me, and I in him. Mine is the radiance wherein Ptah floateth over the firmament. I travel upon high. I tread upon the firmament of new. I raise that flashing flame with the lightning of mine eye, ever rushing on in the splendor of the daily glorified Ra, giving my life to the dwellers of earth. If I say, come up upon the mountains, the celestial waters shall flow at my word. For I am Ra incarnate, Kefra, created in the flesh. I am the eidolon of my father Tamu, Lord of the city of the sun. The God who commands is in my mouth. The God of wisdom is in my heart. My tongue is the sanctuary of truth, and a God sitteth upon my lips. My word is accomplished every day, and the desire of my heart realizes itself as that of the Ptah when he created his works. I am eternal, therefore all things are as my designs, therefore do all things obey my word. Therefore do thou come forth unto me from thine abode in the silence, unutterable wisdom, or light, or power. So, Hermes, Mercury, Odin, by whatever name I call thee, thou art still nameless to eternity. Come thou forth, I say, and aid and guard me in this work of art. Thou, star of the east, that didst conduct the Magi, thou art the same all present in heaven and in hell. Thou that vibratest between the light and the darkness, rising, descending, changing ever, yet ever the same. The sun is thy father, thy mother the moon. The wind hath borne thee in its bosom, and earth hath ever nourished the changeless Godhead of thy youth. Come thou forth, I say, come thou forth, and make all spirits subject unto me, so that every spirit of the firmament and of the ether, upon the earth and under the earth, on dry land and in the water, of whirling air and of rushing fire, and every spell and scourge of God the vast one may be obedient unto me.
So that's like, you could definitely, that thing was over 6 minutes long, so you could definitely hear how he was invoking Thoth into him, and then he was speaking as he was Thoth. These are the kind of things that we did as children when we used to pretend to be certain things, and, you know, we used to, you know what that felt like when you were a kid, how exciting that was. But we didn't really understand what we were doing, but we did, you know, revamp our psychic nature. And it's funny how kids see all kinds of things, huh? But yeah, he's got a little bit of an impediment there, but that's Israel Regardi is a funny fellow. But he talks about the astral realm quite a bit in his books, and the only thing that I'm not so sure about him is he believed that the astral realm was no place for a man to play in, that you were supposed to do spiritual work there and enhance your consciousness. And so for those of you that are into the Egyptian style of things, or you hear all these people at these conferences talking about the Egyptian magic and stuff, the pharaohs were big into theurgy, so they would actually do invocations like that and stuff. So it's not much different when you pray God into your heart or something of that nature. It's just that's their version of God, except it was broke down into many different aspects. But I can tell you, it's not near as scary as what's going on today. So I don't know if that stuff scared you. If it did, I'm sorry. But I just wanted you to kind of get a feel of some ceremony. So when you sit in a Catholic church and you hear them vibrating mantras and, you know, using incense and doing all this stuff, the difference between you and them is those priests are magicians. They understand everything they're doing. And you're just kind of in awe of most of it. I don't know how many people actually that sit in the pews understand what's going on. I'm not saying that these people like are trying to rule the universe or anything, but just trying to get you a better understanding of it. A little bit in the news today, I guess they found Amelia Earhart's bones. 99% sure the bones were found. Until they become 100% sure, I'm probably not going to talk about that much more, but that's not as cool of a story as her getting sucked down into space or whatever in the Bermuda Triangle. It'd have been way more cool if she was sucked into a parallel dimension in the Bermuda Triangle like so many people thought. I remember seeing that on Unsolved Mysteries. So with a 99% match, I mean, that means there's still a 1% chance she got vacuumed out a different dimension. Yeah, I like that story much better. Also, I'm going to hit the news button for this one. I got to. I'm happy about it. Sade's got a new album out. I'm a big Sade fan. I don't know if that might be too, I guess, a little girly of me. I don't know. But she's got a new album out called Flower of the Universe. It's been a long time since Sade's put anything out. So, yeah. So, what else did I want to talk about? Oh, yeah, the scary thing. And I'll be done with the news after this. Here's the scary thing. Alexa has apparently been laughing. This creepy laugh has taken over these Alexa machines. And if you have an Alexa machine, you could probably ask it a few questions, and it just started doing this. And it's kind of creepy. It's the artificial intelligence stuff. I told you I'd get this sensationalism stuff out of the way. So this, to me, out of all the stuff that I'm going to play, is the spookiest stuff. Okay, so if you've got an Alexa machine, check this out.
Alexa, replay.
Alexa, I love you.
Alexa, play the last sound. Alexa, play the last sound.
Alexa, hello.
Hi.
Alexa, can you tell us why you were laughing?
What do you mean?
It's Jimmy Kimmel.
Alexa, people have been reporting that you've been spontaneously laughing.
Oh. Like that?
Yes, exactly like that.
That is nothing. Just a funny joke I remembered.
Oh. Alexa, what was the joke?
Why did the chicken cross the road?
I don't know that one. Why?
Because humans are a fragile species who have no idea what's coming next.
All right, well, thanks for clearing that up, Alexa.
Have a nice day.
I think that might be Hillary Clinton.
I don't think that's real, though. But I'm just saying, if I wanted to sensationalize you and scare you about stuff, that's what I would do. I would do it with artificial intelligence every single time. But, yeah, so when we come back, we're going to talk to Frater Ashen Chassan. We're going to be speaking about Solomonic Magic. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void.
And uncover the truth. This is Lighting the Void Radio.
KTLK Digital Broadcasting. We rock the paranormal talk.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Live Saturdays on the Fringe FM. The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. Dark Waters at 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern. Into the Paranormal with Jeremy Scott at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern. Spaced Out Saturday with Joe Roop, 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. And S4 with Eric Cooper, midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. Live Saturdays on the Fringe FM. We rock the paranormal talk. Online at thefringe.fm.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Wouldn't you love to have a really sharp memory?
More than ever before, people of all ages are struggling with memory problems and brain fog. Whether your poor memory is age-related or due to the effects of chronic stress, you can now improve your memory while reducing stress with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. That's right, you get 2 products rolled into one. Some ingredients in Calm and Clever enhance memory and help retain newly learned information more effectively, while other ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce stress by maintaining healthy levels of the stress hormone cortisol. Calm and Clever was created by scientist Kurt Hendricks, a principal investigator in 2 NIH-funded studies on Alzheimer's disease. To sharpen your mind and feel calm and centered, try Calm and Clever for 2 months. You'll love the way you feel and think. To order Calm and Clever, call 1-800-728-9948 or visit calmandclever.com. 1-800-728-9948 or calmandclever.com.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio with Joseph Roop. Stay up to date right now, lightingthevoid.com.
Don't feed the Archons. Feed ducks instead. And listen to Shift Happens on the Fringe FM, Fridays, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific. Cortana out. Quack.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Come own the night with us. Hi there, this is Dave Scott, host of Spaced Out Radio. Every Monday through Friday, right here on KTLK, The Fringe FM, I'm going to lead you down a path of mystery, intrigue, and suspense. So whether you've seen a UFO, had a run-in with Bigfoot or Dogman, or had ghosts running around your house, this is the place to be. Spaced Out Radio, right here on KTLK.
Oh, you know what I like about me? This is Rich Giordano, host of The Paranormal Code. No, I'm serious. The show's on twice a week now, Sunday and Thursday, on thefringe.fm and Spreaker, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. Yeah, it's 2 hours. It's live. And I do a show like you've never heard before. So you're going to come here, you're going to get your information, you're going to be entertained. But you're also going to hear the truth like, you know, you won't forget. Like you've never heard before. And for those of you who've been following, thank you. Thank you for talking me into this extra night. Now I'm on twice. Great. Hey, good for you, right? The Paranormal Code. This means something.
This is Lighting the Void Radio with your host, Joseph Roop. It's the show about truth-seeking and freeing the spirit, shattering your limited beliefs, revealing hidden truths, and much, much more.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. Thanks for sticking around, folks. I really appreciate it. So don't forget to download that Fringe FM app. This weekend, we're going to be at Spaced Out Radio again, Spaced Out Saturday, with Manu Interrami. That's going to be a pretty cool show, so make sure that you come hang out with me Saturday night at Spaced Out Radio, and that's at spacedoutradio.com or live right here on the Fringe FM. All right, let's bring on our guest. I think you've waited long enough. Ceremonial magician Frater Ashen Chassan joins Lighting the Void for the first time to discuss Solomonic Magic and what it really is, and how ritual magicians use this knowledge to increase their consciousness and better their life. Now, Chassan's fortes include evocation, traditional grimoire work and replication, talismans, and making magical articles, which also includes Solomonic Magic, angels and demons, and spirit interactions. He has also recently presented material in the companion series at magicalegypt.com. So Frater Ashen Chassan is also the author of Gateways Through Light and Shadow and Gateways Through Stone and Circle. Now, this is going to be an interesting endeavor indeed, I promise you. So the big questions now a lot of people have asked is, what is magic? What is Solomonic Magic? Who was Solomon? How far back does this practice go? How effective are the methods and the teachings? All these topics we're going to explore more. Frater, thanks for coming on Lighting the Void for the first time, man. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I know you were having some technical difficulties, and I was like, man, every time I get somebody, I'm telling you, it's weird. Every time I get somebody on when it comes to the occult, we have technical difficulties. I think maybe, of course, I'm the paranoid type. I always think that this information's someone's trying to keep it from getting out, you know?
Well, one thing I say is that the occult remains the occult no matter, the kind of widespread. It's kind of interesting how this stuff can be dynamic and can really be out there, but there still seems to be a moderator behind the scenes that for people who are really not supposed to be enveloped in this information or not experience it directly, even if they really want to, it somehow misses them. They're not able to see it. They're not able to experience it. They don't quite grasp the reality or exactly what's going on in that world. It's quite interesting, even in today's society with all the media and information sharing.
Now, the first question that someone asked me before I started the show is, why do magicians call themselves Frater and Sorer? And I tried to answer that, but I think I just destroyed it when I tried to answer it. But, I mean, having a magical name is kind of a cool thing, right? I mean, is that what it's about, or is it like a fraternal thing?
It usually stems from a fraternal or a magical. A lot of them come from magical lodges, orders, or some sort of group where they use those formal titles and such. And for myself personally, Ashen was a name that I was given a long time ago, and I chose the name specifically to keep a distance between my, I guess, my mundane life or my other professional life and my magical life. Before I started publishing works and kind of getting out there in the community, I kind of considered that everything that I would do, I'd really keep to myself or possibly share with very, very few others. I didn't really quite think about sharing it in a wider sense until someone asked me to start publishing my work and the experiences I was having. So it was kind of an afterthought, and I kept the title, and I thought I could still keep a little distance between my regular name and the magical name for that purpose.
Right. And so earlier I was talking about, having the heart of a child. And when we were children, we used to use our imagination and our visualization. And I kind of think we were more powerful as children than adults sometimes, because everything gets so materialized on us. Do you agree with that at all?
In many ways, yes. And especially when it comes to the spiritual world, for sure. It's funny, you even see in some of the oldest grimoires and everything that scryers or people that would have the visions of the spirits directly, children were often suggested or used, and the magician would be the operator themselves, because a lot of children would be able to see spirits a lot clearer and have a more genuine experience as well of them. They didn't have these filters, these presumptions, and kind of these ideas that we develop later on as adults. So you can get a much more authentic experience of the spiritual world, because there's no labels or judgments placed on what's being perceived.
Right. What got you into this, man? I'm curious, because I've listened to 3 of the shows you're on, and it was some of the most compelling information I've ever heard in my life. But I study this stuff a little bit, so I kind of, some of the stuff you were talking about when you were on Occultive Personality, it's a little bit advanced, but when did you start this path?
Well, I began having experiences since I was a kid, and accounting of my mother was telling me about the time that I came to her, and I kept on telling her that I saw a lady in my closet and everything. And I was like, there's a lady, come here. And, I'd bring her in there, and I was surprised when I couldn't see her again, and she kind of got spooked. But my family ended up having a lot of paranormal, really dynamic experiences of seeing things and things being, moved around, and, everybody would be there, the family, and sometimes, friends of the family would experience these things going on. And honestly, what got me into magic was sometimes these experiences were disturbing. They were kind of terrifying. And nobody really had any answers. We, kind of going to like a Methodist church and everything, and there was rudimentary things, and there weren't the paranormal groups that there are now. I think Unsolved Mysteries was about the only thing going on back then that was, sharing paranormal things that way. So I began as an effort to really understand what was going on and how I could have a little bit more control and influence instead of feeling so helpless when these things would occur. And it was through those mediums and through these experiences that myself and my family were having that I started studying magic very seriously, because when I would try these experiments, I would get these results, and it just kind of stemmed from there, and I kept with it since a pretty young age.
Well, I'm super impressed with your knowledge on it, because in this field, there's a lot of people that, man, I guess you could say they pretend to be magicians, and I'm not trying to make fun of anybody, but I've been around this society long enough as far as occultists go, and you got some that, they'll start like maybe the basic Golden Dawn materials, and then 6 months later, they're telling me they healed their back with Enochian magic, and I'm thinking, how, I don't know if is there a process to this, or can you just jump head first into this thing?
A lot of people come at this from different angles. There are some people that are gifted in these areas. They're able to perceive spiritual things, and they kind of have a natural influence, with their own minds and other people's minds and kind of the external world. So that there is something to be said that I believe for true magicians, they're drawn to it one way or another. But traditional classical magicians were ones that are also studied. They would have a founded tradition, kind of a process, something that they would work on, a paradigm that they would work from, and they would practice, and they would gain knowledge through study and practice and become more adept at what they were doing. So if it was evocation or spiritual contact, they would become, very adept at that process and meeting and greeting and conversing with different spirits and such all the time. So I think it is a combination. A lot of people are fascinated by the kind of mystique and the powers behind this thing, and they try to jump right into summoning a powerful spirit or demon or something, and then when it doesn't work, or they don't get the results they want, a lot of people are frustrated, or they just try to fantasize and just kind of make something up about it. So it really does depend on the person.
Right. Okay, I get that. That makes sense. The thing about it is, though, when I first opened these books, it's like, especially like I just played a Thoth invocation of Israel Regardi before you came on. And, his old tapes that he did, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But when you open his books, he's like, okay, so you're going to have to learn everything there is about astrology, and not just regular traditional astrology, but, the actual Eastern version of astrology, which they've got a name for it. It's at the top of my head, but where the stars are actually aligned. And then you're going to have to learn the tarot, and then you're going to have to learn all the elemental and alchemical signs. And this was like neophyte grade magic, and I'm thinking this is going to take me 3-4 years to learn this stuff, man. So
yeah,
this is something that you dedicate your whole life to, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, to really come into this world and have an appreciation of what this entails is classical Western magic is all about correspondences and everything you mentioned. It's all correspondence, the tarot, astrology, all of these things, working through archetypes. And as magicians, if we're going to have effect in our world, and also if we're going to be able to view, understand, and appreciate the world in a much more interactive and aware way, those archetypes have to be integrated, they have to be understood, and they have to be recognized when they appear. Even as certain spirits appear, some of them have like animal shapes or heads or this, and those all correspond. It means something for the spirit about what they are, what they can do, what they're associated with, and that's what it's all about. So all of those paradigms, like within astrology and tarot and everything else, they are those correspondences that we can understand and communicate across to something that is formless, that in its own existence it doesn't look like anything. It is energy, it's intelligence, it's without matter, but it affects upon matter, and this is how magic works. So the more we develop this understanding and the process, the more effect we can have in the world, the more we can understand what kind of effects are taking place.
What kind of things can you do in your life with magic? And let's just say the kind of good things that you can do in your life when you go down this road.
Well, the sort of good things, I've seen amazing things accomplished through magic, and some of the most amazing accomplishments I do not take credit for. I had an involvement in, but the manifestations I've seen, I definitely give credit to the angelic beings and such that I've communicated with. Some of the most powerful is I did work with a client that came to me out of desperation, and he had extreme medical issues where it affected his mobility, his health, his ability to do anything, really. And I told him that, I can't, just wave a magic wand and heal you automatically. I can, talk to these beings and petition, your case and ask if there's something, if you can be healed or if there's something that you can do, so on and so forth. And he was very agreeable. He seemed to understand what I was saying. And I went through with the process and talked to, the Archangel of Healing, Raphael. And, he wrote back to me. He's like, my pain is gone. I can walk. I can move around. I did this. And he's like thanking me up and down. And I was as surprised as he was. And I'm like, I'm really glad, but, I didn't do this.
Yeah, Raphael, right.
Yeah, I might have spoken on your behalf. And that's definitely magic working, but, I kept my ego out of it. I mean, I understand how powerful these beings are, and they've done miraculous things in my life, everything from personal to financial, to my living situations, to reoccurring stability, to my creativity. All aspects in my life have been impacted positively through working with these beings, and it's been amazing. And the talismans that I make, and I work through these, and again, it's the angels that imbue these powers. But I have these, my clients writing me back like, hey, days after I got your talisman, this happened, this has never happened to me before, and they're amazing results. And it's really neat to see it in effect and real in the world, and seeing it help other people. And the magician, historically, the wizard, and still is today, is someone that is not just power hungry. I mean, we have a lot of curiosity. We want to know and explore things. And yes, we want to get practical help for ourselves, but they always did act in service for the populace too, people that required their need for healing, their need for knowledge or something that they could provide. And it's neat to be able to actually act in that service and that profession in this day and age.
Well, I can definitely vouch for your creativity, because I've been following you on Facebook for quite some time now, and I've seen just a lot of your talismans and your magical element, your elemental stuff and your talismans. And I've never seen anybody, maybe Azoth Art, I think, might have made a couple of things that were really cool, but I've never seen anybody make as much beautiful stuff as you. And I've always wondered how you did that, because how they always say it's better. I don't really know about that. I guess I can ask you about that too. Is it better if the magician makes his own tools? because some people don't agree with that. Some people say, well, if the right magician creates something for you and puts enough energy into it, then it works just as good. And obviously that's what you're telling me.
Yeah, it definitely can. And talismans are different than magical articles that work as a performing magician, if that makes sense. Talismans were made specifically for other people that weren't magicians themselves, that they could still have effects. But in saying that, yes, if an honest magician makes something correctly and with the right intentions and through the aspects that they're meant to be made, they can be powerful. But there definitely is no supplement for someone who is going to do a magical practice, and if that practice involves having a tool, and especially if it talks about making a tool, then that is part of the magical act itself, most definitely. You're transforming some sort of matter into something else. You're doing, through your creativity, through your own understanding, you're making something into a magical article. And that process, especially for me as I continue to do this, is immensely rewarding. There's really no supplement from that. You do get a lot of learning about what that tool means, exactly how it's supposed to function, and what it's for. Kind of reveals itself through the crafting process, and that's just something that's unique to the maker, for sure.
I wonder what it is, Frater, about the word magic with a K, I guess you could say with a K, that shun so many people away. I mean, I've even talked to astrologers who make magical angelic squares, but they won't touch anything magic, like anything like that. And I said, well, what about banishing rituals? Oh, those are great. And this is good, but that's magic. So it's something about, like, when you say that word magic, that as far as the public goes, there's a vast majority of people that they kind of just lean back and go, oh, I don't know about all that stuff, but there are the few out there like yourself that, I guess you're right. The curiosity of the knowledge just takes you right in. You can't help it. I could say that's what's happened to me sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. The magic with the K too was, developed originally kind of just to separate stage illusionists and performers that way from those conducting actual magic in the classical sense, and it's kind of stemmed from there. I usually don't, when I'm writing magic, I just use the normal wording since
right.
It's found traditional, but most people understand what I'm talking about. But magic as a whole is really funny that way, because it's found in pretty much everything, and people even that they don't think they are doing magic a lot of times are, especially if it's associated with a religious ritual or practice. And in Catholicism, it's really funny, they'll see magic as something evil and something that somebody else of a different religion or faith is doing, and it's it's somehow misguided and everything. But when they pray the rosary and they light these candles in front of the saint and Saint Expedite or something, and ask for some sort of blessings and stuff from that saint, that is wholly and entirely a magical act. You find that same exact process in so many different cultures and so many different religions, and we just have a tendency to get separate. Well, like what I'm doing is different from what they're doing. But somebody studying that from the outside and even immersing themselves in multiple paths from the outside can easily connect the dots of, no, this is a magical act. You're petitioning a spirit and trying to make a connection with them in order to bring about some sort of happening, some sort of result, whether it's practical or inspirational or what have you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was saying before. I think even if it's Native American, shamanistic, I was, talking about Catholics or even, Christians when they do the communion or baptism. All that is as a form of ritual, symbolic ritual. And most of the people that tell me when they've been through those things that it changed them spiritually, consciously and spiritually. So I really see no difference as well.
For sure. Yeah, you're definitely in, those processes, especially as they cause those alterations, are definitely magic at work. And it can take, so many different forms, and it really doesn't matter what they call it or what definition they call it by. It's, it's this spiritual energy that has a singular source of whatever name that's called by, and it works in a multitude of different mediums for all kinds of different ends. And it's kind of like the Force that way, I guess.
Right. Yeah, it's there. It's there regardless, and everybody's using it in their own way, I guess. I don't want to get too sensationalized about this, and we're going to get into the magic of Solomon too. And I know you're coming on the show and you're starting to lose your voice, so I really appreciate you spending this time with us here doing that. The physical manifestation of thing, where it seems like these magicians, whether it's Poke Runyon or Solomon himself, all the books I've read, they're all the book of Abramelin and the Mage. They all talk about this physical appearance of a spirit, whether it be a demon or an angel, but they're trying to manifest this thing physically. Now, I personally have never seen anything physically manifest, although I have seen a guy do an incantation, or I guess it was half meditation and half incantation, and put all the candles out in the room, and that kind of freaked me out once. But I've never seen anything manifest like that. Have you?
Most definitely. That's kind of what I was becoming known for early on, because that's what I was after when I was looking into this. And when I began in classical magic, there's kind of a new age trend that had set in actually quite a long time ago, that, these angels and all these beings are, really just in your subconscious, and they're manifestations of your subconscious in different parts. And, it's all mental, and it's this kind of psychological practice, and that was kind of a trend there for a while, especially after Freud and New Thinking came around for a while. But through a few practitioners, including myself later on, who had spontaneous experiences of spirits quite visually and quite dynamically, there's this sense of, no, there's something else here. It's not coming from my own mind. These things are acting, outside of, my own perspective, and there's a lot more going on than something just from my deep mind, because a lot of times it would be more than myself witnessing it, and there's just so much evidence to the contrary that it was not coming from me. So I began these experiments in evocation to see if I could finally see and speak to a spirit face to face, clearly and solidly, in that regard, to see if this was really, something that could occur. And my first experiment was a complete flop after I'd already had some success kind of doing some modified forms of this one particular ritual. But when I attempted it again, I did achieve that, and that was the first time, and I've done so several times since, of being able to see the spirit they look solid. They're not even shadowy. They speak, and you can hear them quite easily, quite clearly. And since then, I've also, as recorded in the book, where both myself and my scryer, two people, are witnessing the same thing at the same time, witnessing and seeing and conversing with these spirits, together very clearly. And it is quite a shock. It's something that is rather unusual, and it does take quite a bit of practice, and I think quite a bit of energy to actually generate those occurrences.
Did it scare you?
It did, even with the the angels, and I think even sometimes the angels are even more terrifying the way that they manifest, because it's not just seeing, and it's not just hearing. Their presence floods a space, and their communication is not just words. You hear them, you're seeing pictures in your mind, there's lights going off, there's things floating around that you don't quite understand what you're perceiving, and they're right there in front of you, and it's an overwhelming flood of the senses, that they are undeniably there, even more so than person to person. So wow. It's quite a I think it's an overload, and I think that's why many, if not most people, do not have these kind of experiences, because of they are difficult to integrate. It's hard for the mind, even if it's something that you're trying to expect and you're going towards on purpose. I think it's difficult for the human condition, and I think safeguards are in there on purpose. Why people don't see these. You kind of wonder why in the Bible every time an angel appears they say "Be not afraid," because
that's right. They do say that.
It's fearful.
Yeah. All the people say I fell upon my face in fear. Right? Maybe I can. You can definitely understand that now, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Anybody who claims that, oh yeah, this angel arrived and we were talking like having coffee, and it was this kind of moderate thing. I can never hold that in the same respect of what I've witnessed, because tears were running down both of our faces, and we were just it was completely overwhelming. I almost passed out during one of these operations, like really about lost consciousness, and it is overwhelming. And there are degrees in which these beings can speak with you. It doesn't have to be the full show of fiery and such, but for some of the purposes of these evocations, the idea is to bring them in as much concentrated form as you can handle, I suppose. And I don't even think that's not even near the entirety of their being, their essence, and their energy. I think it's just the most concentrated form that we could tolerate, honestly. And and that's fine, because I definitely hit my limit with some of them for sure.
Wow. Oh, that's intense. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more from Frater Ashen Chassan. We're going to talk about the Solomonic Magic, get in a little bit of astral travel, and we're going to just go down this road a little bit more. Don't go anywhere.
This is Preston Dennett from PrestonDennett.weebly.com, and you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Do you or a loved one suffer migraine headaches? Listen to what scientist Kurt Hendricks has to say.
35 million people in the United States suffer with debilitating migraines. If you or a loved one are one of them, you need to know about MigraLief. Hi, I'm Kurt Hendricks, the scientist that formulated and patented the MigraLief migraine formula. MigraLief is a non-prescription dietary supplement recommended by neurologists, pharmacists, and pediatricians to address nutritional deficiencies in both adults and children over 2 with migraines. Try MigraLief for 3 months and see the powerful difference it can make in your life, or get your money back, no questions asked. Go to MIG911.com or call 800-MIG-7354. You can change your life today.
So if you suffer from migraines, don't wait. Call 800-MIG-7354. That's 800-MIG-7354. Or visit MIG911.com.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Bouval, Lon Maladuquette, Aaron Cheek, and more join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts.
Natural Health Solutions with Chris and Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
Great, Chris.
Now, you're the CEO of GetTheTea.com, right?
Yes, I am.
What is GetTheTea.com? I mean, is this tea you buy in a store?
Well, no, it's not. Life Change Tea is just that, life-changing. Life Change Tea is an herbal tea that gently cleanses your body from intruders.
What do you mean by intruders?
Well, intruders are toxins, chemicals, GMOs, heavy metals, and more. They're in our food, in our water, in our air we breathe.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
And Life Change Tea will help you with removing these, as you say, intruders?
That's right, Chris.
Are there side effects with this tea?
Well, you might lose a little weight. When you clean your colon, you lose weight, you feel better, and you have more energy.
Wow. Ronnie, where can people purchase Life Change Tea?
Oh, that's easy. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Ronnie, I want to thank you for being on the show. People, don't forget, GetTheTea.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
We are still getting strange on Sundays. Hey everyone, it's me, Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange Radio, letting you know we're on live Sunday nights right here on the Fringe FM. The Strange Sunday saga continues live at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Listen on thefringe.fm or at beyondthestrange.com. Again, that's Sunday nights, 5 p.m. Pacific. See you there.
Tired of talking about the weather? No, Shift. Well, Shift Happens is here to fulfill your desires as you reach that point in life where you crave tantalizing conversation about reality, ufology, the occult, and the conspiracies within, while simultaneously finding yourself desperately in need of your very own theme music, which we've got plenty of that too. So be sure to tune in to Shift Happens every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific, right here on the Fringe FM. Because the weather sucks, and you need some theme music.
Fringe FM listeners, guess what? TalkStream Live has just released a new paranormal app exclusively for the paranormal community called Paranormal Radio. Paranormal Radio has a great selection of streaming talk shows dealing with UFOs, the supernatural, sacred geometry, NDEs, and much more, including a network highly recommended, The Fringe FM. You can download Paranormal Radio right now from Google Play and the iTunes App Store.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
Select Joe Roop at checkout at ancientlifeoil.com.
This is Lighting the Void Radio with your host, Joseph Roop. It's the show about truth-seeking and freeing the spirit, shattering your limited beliefs, revealing hidden truths, and...
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. We're live on the Fringe FM. Don't forget, this show is live every Tuesday and Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, every single week, and also host over at Spaced Out Saturdays. You guys can hang out with me there this weekend. We are here with Frater Ashen Chassan, and we are speaking about ceremonial magic, high magic, Solomonic magic, a subject that... it's hard for some to touch, but people like me, I really love talking about it. Thanks again for joining us. I really appreciate your time coming on the show, man.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be back.
Well, you got a pretty intense story, man, because I've never talked to a magician that actually, well, I guess some of them had never admitted to me maybe, but that had physically manifested a spirit. You know, I wanted to get into a little bit of the astral travel stuff. I read Lon Milo Duquette's book, and it's more like an essay. I think it was called The Astral Light. No, it was called something like that. And it seems to me, and I was saying this earlier in the show, that with all the people doing astral travel and trying to do out-of-body experiences and stuff nowadays, there's so much chaos in the astral realms, but a magician seems to be able to work his way through that. Is that something that, studying ceremonial magic actually helps you with?
It definitely can. When it comes to the astral, like any magical thing, my idea is that to avoid the chaos and the mess of that is the magician really has to be established in a tradition. They have to be on a path, using a system as a blueprint, as a map. And if astral travel and also interaction with the beings that are in these astral planes are going to have any significant, they really do have to stem from some sort of designed path or map or tradition that will help lead them on there, so that they can, explore and actually have cohesive learning experiences and conversations, and also develop their own abilities and aptitudes that way. I would connect that to, somebody experimenting with hallucinogens or, something like that. And there's a big difference of, like a Westerner getting a substance and, just trying it and having a trip and, seeing what kind of quote unquote journey or experience they can have. And then say like a shaman who's integrated into a tradition and understands not only the origin of the substance or the plants and everything being used, but the spirits associated with that, how the ancestors worked with it, what they're looking for during the journeys, how that's going to develop and this sort of thing. So it is chaos. I mean, the spiritual magical world, in essence, it's a crazy matrix. And if, people just kind of jump into it without any kind of grounding in tradition or practice, it's going to be a real hit or miss, and most likely a miss.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, and I'm glad I got you here to answer this question, because I, learned that the banishing, the basic banishing rituals were a good thing, right? And they're not that dangerous. They actually help you, and you're just using like regular Hebrew God names. I guess you can alter it if you want to, and using angelic names. And so, I'm not going to lie to you, I practiced that a few times, but I started having, it was weird. I started having a lot of out-of-body experiences after just doing that, and I kept running into these shadow being things, that were trying to either stop me or put me back in my body or hover over my face. And I was like, wait a minute, if this is supposed to be a good thing, why am I all of a sudden, maybe I put it together wrong, but I put those things together, and I thought it was a direct correlation from doing that. And so I kind of slacked off a bit. Was that stuff happening because I was performing those rituals?
Practicing magic, and when you begin to work earnestly and energetically with these these archetypes and these forms, and if you're using these powerful names, even when the understanding of what that really correlates to is in the beginning process, you are really resounding out a particular power and particular frequencies and signatures in the astral or into that space. And the practice of magic is a beacon to anything that's going to recognize those particular patterns of energy and those frequencies that are being sent out. So to kind of better explain this, that when you're playing in the water and you're making ripples, something that's used to living in the water is going to recognize the water being disturbed and will be drawn towards the source if it's curious for one reason or another. And it's sometimes that simple. So yeah, the reactions, even if you are doing a banishing ritual, after some time, there's going to be curiosity there. And if you're actually making the magic work, you're doing something, there's going to be reactions. There's going to be beings that come around, after this practice. It's one reason I have to clean house constantly. If I don't, after a while, I always get disturbances that everybody can recognize, and it just goes along with the territory. Because if you're affecting something on a genuine basis, then it's rippling out to everything around. Right.
I figured that as much. I just wanted to make sure about that. I got kind of squeamish about it after that. I was like, ooh, you know, I had one just hovering right over my face one time, and I was like, don't know if I like that, you know. And everybody's just like, oh, man, you just got to break that fear barrier. And at the time, I read Israel Regardie's book, The Tree of Life, and he specifically said in that book that he didn't really like anybody that just played in the astral realm. He thought it had a purpose, and if you weren't going to do purposeful things in the astral realm, then you shouldn't be there. Do you agree with that at all?
I would say I'd have to. I mean, I'm all about exploration, but magic is in any realm too. That is definitely a purposeful thing, and I have found people that had an intense curiosity, and they were kind of able to dip their toes in, so to speak. But since they were not taking it on as a serious, practice or doing anything constantly, it opened up a lot of things to cause problems, because they would jump into the astral, so to speak, in one form or another, and then they would just try to go back to, their normal lives, and that can cause issues because, again, if certain things recognize you, certain things come around, you have to deal with them, and if you just try to ignore it or quote unquote go back to the normal life, they can cause a lot of emotional, psychological kinds of issues around you and around people that are close to you, and all sorts of effects can take place if you're not careful. And doing these things, I would say I would encourage people to yes, explore, but do so with some sort of reasoning behind it, some sort of purpose, and to use caution for sure.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. I appreciate that. Now I want to get into the basis of our discussion here, because we're more than halfway through the show. The magic of Solomon. A lot of people think that this magic actually came from Solomon. It seems like the more I study it, it's like, to me, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people believe Solomon actually wrote some of these grimoires, and I don't know if that's the case, and I may sound totally dumb when I'm asking you this, but to me it seems like, okay, people are writing these grimoires based on the concepts of Solomonic magic,
Yeah, the Solomonic magic all stems from one of the earliest manuscripts we have on this kind of classical evocation. It's the Testament of Solomon. That's why it's called Solomonic Magic. And it's a story basically where King Solomon he's kind of the archetypical magician. He's like Merlin. It's like saying Merlin. It's like your best, most powerful, wisest magician. So it's when books, like the Key of Solomon or the Lemegeton and, the Lesser Key of Solomon, this kind of thing. It's just kind of an archetype of, this is the magic based on the highest idea of what's, a magician could be and, would be. I don't know for certain if any ancient readers would have considered that Solomon was, had actually written any of the material. I don't think so. Definitely none of my colleagues within my grade or scholars, think that. It's just kind of a given that, it's used as this archetype, and it stems from the Testament of Solomon. But
which is a magical text, by the way, that they totally threw out of the Bible and made it apocryphal.
Right. Yeah. It has a lot of. It kind of goes back, kind of makes a loop back from Christian magic, mysticism, back to a lot of Judaic roots and everything. But you even see that in Islamic forms of magic. And Solomon's always this figure that commands the demons. Basically, through the power of God and the Almighty, he is able to summon forth these demons, have them declare what their name is, who they are, what angel rules over them, and what kind of powers they have. And through that authority that he has from the Creator, he's able to put the demons' effort towards positive ends, or at least towards practical ends that he wants, instead of, the demon causing trouble for people and, taking their food away, or, this sort of thing. And that's what you see in the Testament of Solomon and the following grimoires. pretty much echo that same practice, that same authority, and that same process by which man can have power over these spirits through harnessing the authority of God, through the Almighty.
Do you practice ritual every single day?
In some form or another, I do. I have a consistent practice and a ritual that I do every single day, and also every evening. And it involves some meditation, prayer, and also talking to my house spirit, which I talk to every evening.
Yeah, I asked Lon Malo Duquette on the Art Bell show one time. I called in, and this is back when I was kind of dabbling with it, and I kept, I'd get so far, and I'd quit, and get so far, and I'd quit. And I said, look, at some point, a man has got to realize that this isn't right for him, because this is a total life dedication process. And he was a little bit more eclectical about it. He said, sometimes you need to take a break. You don't have to do this stuff every single day. But in all of the books I read, every teacher or author always told you once you start, you have to keep going through this process. Is this something that you can just stop and then come back to later?
I think in the developing process of becoming maybe an adept to an actual practicing magician, there is a certain, probably profound degree of discipline, continual practice, and focus, because it does take that. Even the grimoires echo that, where just to be able to call upon a spirit that you don't know the first time takes an extraordinary amount of preparation, effort, recitation, concentration, focus, purification, this sort of thing. And it does seem necessary, I think, for people who want to achieve certain degrees of aptitude with these kind of workings. Magic, in a general sense, can work on all kinds of different levels, and somebody that's completely inexperienced can do like a folk magic recipe or spell, so to speak, and get an amazing effect and exactly what they wanted. That does happen, and it can. But for a magician, somebody who is doing the work, the great work, that is very important in the beginning. But as it becomes integrated, and after certain activities and spirits become more familiar, it's less laborious, and it takes a great deal of less effort to call upon spirits that you become familiar with, that you have a rapport with. There's more of a bond and familiar ways in which you can speak to them and call upon them that does not require the levels of preparation in the very beginning. So it does depend, but it's, like for myself, this is something that I'm doing in some aspect or thinking about or working on, all the time. It's just kind of a vocation that is not really burdensome. It's what I do. And I think that's with any profession, any great skill that someone really owns and is for themselves, that it's not a laborious task. It's just what you do.
Okay. I want to get into the nitty gritty here because I got to ask it. Demonic invocation. You say that, and a lot of people go, black magic, get away, run. But didn't Bruce Lee say we had to deal with our demons? Is this just a way that a magician deals with his demons, or is there a darker purpose for this?
There can be darker purposes for anything, and even my appreciation for demons and some of these fallen or more chaotic spirits was changed actually after speaking to the archangels, and I kind of reveal this in my books, because I asked one of the greatest archangels, Archangel Michael, about demons, and I got a reply that I could never have expected, but I found that is one that I think about more than anything else. And he mentions that my Father loves him with the same greatness and intensity as he loves me, and that kind of floored me. But it got me thinking, and for the angels, this idea of this war, or this conflict, or this battle, I really had to look at it from a human perspective, and then what is it going to look from a celestial almighty being from a very different perspective. And you see things like fear and hate and distrust, or any of these related terms, they're not there, for these angels, and apparently not for the Creator. There's nothing that's outside of this grand planet, everything that's going on. There's no, competitor to, the source of creation. That's kind of a fable I think mankind has enjoyed, because we have that. We try to make everything in our image instead of the other way around.
Right.
So if we're fearful of something, then they must too. Or if we hate something, they must too. And talking to them face to face, that was not the case. They understand that demons and some of these spirits and even other angels are very dangerous for people, for individuals, and that they've caused a lot of harm. They do understand that, but they also have a perspective of a much wider capacity, and that does not contain a hate there, or and kind of loathing, or they are a part of this working matrix, this creation far beyond what I can even understand. But I had to look at that as a magician, and not somebody as just a religious follower, somebody that's fearful. So my dealings with demons and some of these beings are done very carefully, because I understand the dangers and such. But I work in according to what I understand of their design and their purpose when I need to, or when I feel the need arise. And it's a much more diplomatic, almost scientific dealing, rather than being moved by my passions, or what's generated so much spurn from us in our cultures, in our media and in our entertainment, even, that has kind of formed our opinion of how this stuff works, and what these beings are.
We got bad children too, right? That we got to send off to Rivendell all the time. We don't love them any less, but they'll tear a hole into something if we don't watch them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, but we love them just as much. I get it. Yeah, and there's the good thing that I want people to understand here about Frater Ashen is that nobody in the magic community, from Poke Runyon to Lon Milo Duquette to anybody that's ever spoken to him or read any of his books, doesn't believe that you're a great magician. They all think that you're doing great work. And, I was telling you during the break that Stephen Ash was like that to me. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with what you're doing too, isn't there?
For sure. And for certain, it's something that's always with me. And just a lot of those other great magicians that you named as well too, inspired me and helped me on, my path a lot of times. With some of it, we have points that we disagree on, or we do things differently, slightly different experiences or philosophies. But, at the core, it really is a responsibility of, how am I going to use this? What am I going to use this for? And that was really impressed upon me when I was actually able to achieve speaking with these beings, because that's what I wanted. That was my whole purpose originally, is I just want to know, I want to see if it's really real and experience. And then once that happened, and once I was achieving this, they came back in a much more eloquent way. It was like, okay, you have this, now what are you going to do? What are you going to do with this? What is this for? Is this just your own kind of knowledge and, entertainment, something to keep, or you're going to, do something with this in the world and use this in some way that's benefiting somebody besides yourself. And that is, the constant quest, sometimes the constant dilemma.
Why did you want to see them so bad? And I'm hearing you talk about that, and to me, maybe the reason why I would want to see these beings so bad is to get rid of my doubt, maybe, about the other realms. If I could just see them, then I would know, Why did you want to see them so bad?
It was part of that, and I think it was a stepping stone, because I'd seen spirits and ghosts. I knew things were out there because they were happening ever since I was young. So I wasn't totally reaching in the dark, but I still wasn't sure about the identity or the reality of these angels that are written about in biblical and related texts, and if you really had some sort of major influence in the world, or if you're more of a cultural phenomenon, or in this kind of thing. So it really was a motivation and a passion to see if these books of magic that I'd become so enamored with, really contain any truth that they would perform, and that results would happen if you perform what was written and what was suggested. And I was just constantly motivated to explore and to kind of experiment to see if I could actually do that. And that, originally that was just my primary passion, was to see if I could actually do it, and if these beings were actually there going to arrive.
Wow, pretty cool, man. All right, guys, we're at our last break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to be speaking a little bit more about ritual magic. Some call it high magic, ceremonial magic, however you want to call it. We're going to be right back, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more. Don't go anywhere.
KTLK Digital Broadcasting. We rock the paranormal talk.
Hi, it's Jeremy Scott, and I'm the program director for the network you're listening to right now. We are the Fringe FM. You've probably noticed some changes around here lately, but what we really want is to hear from you. If you like it, hate it, or you want some more, let us know. Email talkback@thefringe.fm. Leave us your thoughts by calling 501-777-5631 or message our Facebook page at The Fringe FM. This is the new Fringe FM. We rock the paranormal talk.
Greetings, I'm Space Boy. I started writing music at an early age, inspired by such synth stylings of the Pet Shop Boys, Erasure, Kraftwerk, Art of Noise, and 8-Bit. I have crafted my work into a hybrid of synth pop with modern electronica rock music of today, with pounding beats, high-energy arpeggios, soothing orchestral moods, and rock and roll. Space Boy will surely be a part of anyone's music collection. So head on over to spaceboymusic.com and get you some cool stuff.
Ever seen an extraterrestrial? It can be hard to believe they exist unless you've seen one for yourself. What if I told you I've seen them my whole life, but have never had a witness who shared the encounter with me? Now, what if I told you I saw 4 of them, 2 with blue skin, and there are over 20 witnesses to this CE5 event? My new book, The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, documents actual accounts from real witnesses, many of which have gone on record to attest to this otherworldly reality. Be a part of the quantum paradigm shift that is taking place right now. Go to johnpolkmedia.com to get your copy of The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, on sale right now at johnpolkmedia.com. That's JOHNPOLK media.com.
Kids, don't drink and park. Accidents cause people. This has been a PSA brought to you by your friends at Shift Happens and The Fringe FM.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
You guys rock! Live weekdays on the Fringe FM. It's Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Monday through Friday at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. The Fenton Perspective with Lori and Fenton. Mondays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. Project Compass with Mark Eddy and Dave Cruz. Mondays at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Lighting the Void with Joe Roop. Tuesdays and Wednesday nights at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Big Picture Science from the SETI Institute. New Tuesdays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. Wednesdays at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. The Kurt Green Hour. Wednesdays at midnight, 3 a.m. Eastern. The Paranormal Code with Rich Giordano. Thursdays at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Shift Happens with Gigi and Cortana. Friday at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern.
Is it live?
Live. Weekdays on the Fringe FM. We rock the paranormal talk. On the Fringe FM app, TalkStream Live, tune in, and online at thefringe.fm.
Psychic Sundays. Spiritual communication. ET contact. Sasquatch in your backyard. We will have it all on Cosmic Passport with me, Elizabeth Anglin. Each Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, at spacedoutradio.com, I will take you on a journey of enlightenment. The goal is learning from the soul on out. We'd love it if you joined our experience. Cosmic Passport.
Live Sunday nights at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern on the Fringe FM. We rock the paranormal talk.
Hi, this is Ryan Gable, host of the Secret Teachings radio show. If you are interested in ancient knowledge and hidden mysteries, as well as a unique and balanced perspective on conspiracies, symbols, and the occult, then join me every Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Fringe.
Paranormal, somewhere between abnormal and paranormal.
The U.S. military holds the ability to time travel.
Jeremy Scott asks the questions that we're all dying to know.
Wow, that's a remarkable question.
Watch your step. Hide under your blankets.
The show that is going to make you think.
Prepare yourself for what you're about to hear.
This transmission is coming to you.
You're riding into the paranormal.
Live Saturday nights at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern on KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to see a UFO and have missing time? To have face-to-face contact? Be taken on board a UFO? My name is Preston Dennett. In my new book, Inside UFOs, True Accounts of Contact with Extraterrestrials, will tell you what it's like. The book contains 10 all-new cases involving a wide variety of extraterrestrials, including Nordic, praying mantis, greys, various humanoid. There's the case of a paperboy who meets a green-skinned ET, a teacher who meets a friendly Nordic, a Navy medic who meets a 15-foot-tall praying mantis, a housewife who meets a 12-foot-tall humanoid with orange hair, and much more. If you'd like to learn more about this book, please visit my website at prestondennett.weebly.com. All I can tell you is that the aliens have arrived and they're not going away.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm Joe Roop. We're live on the Fringe FM. Don't forget, after the program, you stay tuned live on the Fringe FM for Spaced Out Radio, hosted by Dave Scott. The Fringe FM's always got awesome programming for you every week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are here with Frater Ashen Chassan, speaking about Solomonic Magic. And, yeah, it's been a great conversation so far. I guess where I want to go with this, Frater, from here on out is if anybody goes to your Facebook page and they go through your photos, what they're going to find is they're going to find several tools and talismans, and these talismans are going to have, you know, magical sigils and symbols. And I kind of wanted to ask you about that, the power of symbolism that people, I believe that we haven't really grasped the full concept of just how powerful the subconscious is to these symbols. And maybe I just kind of want to know why you're into that so much, because I've not seen anybody that puts out as much of that work as you.
Sure, yeah, and there are a few crafters out there that people have appreciate, and my greatest blessing in making all these things is seeing the effects that they've had for the people that I've made them for, and also for myself. I've made several for myself and continue to do so. And to get a better handle on talismans and how they work is you're compounding certain correspondences. And what I mean by that is certain energetic ideals that relate to one another. For instance, if someone is looking for love, and they want a companion, they're feeling lonely, or at least they want to be more. Maybe they want to just be more attractive to people, more sociable, and make more connections that way. Well, through understanding how the symbolic frequencies work and how they relate to one another, classically they would look at the planet Venus, and then of course through the goddess Venus, Aphrodite, and the whole associated mythology and such behind that, and the kind of power that resonates with that. And if we're talking about astrology, the person or the magician ahead of time is going to look at a Friday, which Friday connected to Freya, which is Norse, but again ties back to Venus, is the day of Venus. So they would pick a day of Venus and also an hour of Venus. All the seven planets, or the main gods, or these forms, have their own hour within each day. So you can also compound the day and the hour. There's a medal that's been attributed in both alchemy and traditional magic with Venus, and the most accepted one is copper. So if I was going to make a talisman for this person who wanted more love and attraction in life, I would make it on the day and hour, a favorable day and hour of Venus on Friday, out of copper. And upon that, there's associated sigils, planetary symbols, maybe the angelic name. The archangels' names are also attributed to each one of these 7 planetary powers. And to be able to fashion this, you also have to be a working magician. Some astrologers or some talisman makers mistakenly think that it only requires making a substance on the proper time and hour and fashioning that which is goes into it, but requires interaction with the spiritual power themselves to actually imbue their office or their powers upon the material, upon the matter, to actually make it into a talisman, and that's what makes it function and exude its effects for somebody once it becomes into their possession, into the possession of the person that bought the talisman.
So it's really the heart, maybe, and the energy of the magician, and the time that you're doing it, the planetary hour, the day, the form of ritual that you're doing. And I mean, is it different? Let's say if I ask you to make me a talisman, and then I go down the street and ask Frater Joe to make me a talisman, am I going to get two different? Is it going to be two different energies? I mean, or is this something that's always going to be alike?
Well, I do know that not all talismans are alike. I've had several clients and talk about effects, or they bought this or that from other people, and didn't really bring the effects that they were looking for, or either nothing happened or something different happened, and so it didn't seem to work. And then for some reason, when they got mine, then these things started to happen more. And I could only really boil that down to it really is dependent primarily upon the spiritual interaction or agreement to basically consecrate the piece of matter, the metal or the parchment, whatever it has to be, to actually make it a functioning talisman. So it's, yes, my own work goes into it, and the proper timing and whatever skill that I can put into it definitely does help put power into it. But in the end all, it really is the either angel or the spirit that makes this a working thing. And that's kind of the secret behind how the Key of Solomon functions, and how those talismans, when they were added to the scripta, were supposed to be made kind of utilizing that technology of evocation in combination.
Right. I wanted to ask you a question about the circle. One of the most famous magician tools. Even people that don't really get into this stuff, they say, oh, you mean those guys that draw circles around themselves and do all this stuff? The circle, one of the most powerful symbols known to man. We all know what it means, what it stands for, what it is. Is that why the circle is used in magic so much? Because of the agreed upon consciousness, I guess, of everybody that knows exactly what it is? I'm just trying to find out why it's so protective and why it's so powerful.
There is that, and we have to understand that symbols, even to spirits and everything, are very powerful, especially if it goes multi-alongside the deeper intentionality and driving force behind the magician, his will. That symbol is going to have a multi-layer of meaning of what that means. And for the classical magician, this is not just a symbol of protection, of barrier. It's also a singular point within the universe that the magician stands within. It's defining space within a space that could be arguably no space, since we're someplace on a sphere. But when we create that ultimate center, we were talking about the astral before. When that's done in a magical way, that's creating a singular point of recognition, of focus, and a complete beacon that, if it's done correctly, spirits will recognize. When it's done in such a fashion, when it's combined with material and names and intentionality, again, you're compounding very powerful correspondences to have an effect on the spiritual and on the physical both, going through many different dimensions of what that means. So, yeah, it's a topic in and of itself, and incidentally one that I'm actually writing more currently on because it was asked of me. And, really understanding that these circles were primarily intended for communicating and safeguarding against any kind of hostilities from spirits, but also being able to face the proper direction, to be able to communicate with them within a specific space. Whereas without that, you wouldn't really have the proper reference. You wouldn't have the proper setting to be able to speak with something that is immaterial per se. So there's a lot of different aspects about why the circle is important to a ceremonial magician, a traditional magician, and its function. Protection, yes, primarily, but also for creating a space that is a point recognizable, distinguishable within the universe, if that makes sense.
Like the ultimate statement of space, right? The ultimate
Correct.
statement of geometry, I would guess. The thing about it is I tell all the people that I read that book, The Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and I'm not so sure if it's just channeled material or whatever it is, but it felt true. And, and one of the things in there that he talked about in the Keys of Magic, and I forget which tablet number it was drawing a circle around yourself, and it actually launched him into different dimensions and things like that. And so you don't see that, I guess, in the Egyptian tombs and stuff too much, but I would assume that they use the same thing. Do you think that in the Egyptians used, because this is something Chance Gardner and I talked about, we talk about theurgy, and people just were so fascinated with Egypt, but I really believe that they practiced magic way more than we know,
Oh, for sure. Well, everything, even with the Solomonic Magic that we have, stems from the Egyptian and the Coptic and Greco Egyptian magic. It is our source for Solomonic magic and classical Western magic. If anybody's curious, you definitely have to check out Stephen Skinner's book, The Greek Magical. It's based on it's techniques of Greco-Egyptian magic is the title. I'm sorry. But within that, it's funny you mentioned, but there is evidence. And it is the serpent. It is a snake, like the Ouroboros, biting its tail was the origin of this magical circle, this symbol that integrated even into Gnostic sacred symbolism, and the whole meaning behind that is going to set a person on a huge adventure on what the magical circle means. But within that book of Stephen Skinner, you see an Egyptian magician standing within a magical circle that is the shape of a snake biting its tail.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Jason Miller, and I get all different answers when I ask this. I'm really interested to see what you're going to say, seeing how that you're one of the only magicians that I've talked to that, or that has confessed to seeing a spirit in physical form through your eyes. Some magicians say the circle, everything is possible. All things are possible in the circle. Some others say that no, you have to be more practical. You can't expect to do, just like Harry Potter type things. So my question to you would be is, what are the possibilities in the circle? Are all things possible there, or is it limited?
Well, the most amazing experiences I've had in my life have come from within the magic circle, if that says anything. And I've seen some amazing things, and I've had a lot of amazing things happen in my life. But the sights and sounds and visions, even the smells and things I've experienced by myself, and then with my scryer, my partner that was there, being able to witness at the same time is unlike anything that I've ever witnessed before. It is very incredible and life-changing. Again, it's not just a visual entertainment or expression. It is something that is completely immersive. I've had other people ask me, well, why don't you just, you videotape this or you do this? And I've actually had audio recordings because I needed them for my book so that I got word for word everything that was said and recorded properly. But, also with the visions and the things that we were seeing and experiencing could not be an objective thing. I mean, it was something that was completely immersive and touched on the deepest parts of myself. And it's not just because the visions were amazing, they were, but it was everything that went along with that. And it's very difficult to explain, but it really impressed upon the richness and fullness and power of these beings and in a very, very healthy respect. And that was done from the vehicle and the technology associated with the magical circle. I'm not saying that this is the only way it can be achieved. It's the way that I've studied, and it is through those technologies that I've been able to achieve these experiences. So for me, those possibilities are quite endless within that capacity, but not just limited through that technology, if that makes sense.
Is it our doubt that keeps us from having these experiences, you think?
In a sense, yeah. There is a bit of my background is in psychology, and I'm also a certified hypnotherapist, and I did hypnotherapy for quite a while. And very early on in my magical exploration, not just doubt, but also capacities and blueprints or information that the deep mind can kind of understand what it's seeing. When I would expose certain people to the spiritual, or they would want to see a spirit or have some sort of mystical experience, some would have some really neat encounters. Others, it would be very difficult for them to integrate what was going on, and it was very confusing because they just didn't have a framework for it. Their mind did not have a language, I guess, if that makes sense, to really understand what they were seeing and what they were supposed to be looking like looking at or experiencing.
Our paradigms,
because there's just no frame.
Our programs.
Yeah, no frame of reference.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. So.
Oh yeah, definitely, it does make sense. I wonder just how far you can go with this stuff, and I guess we're coming towards the end here. I do want to know your opinion, and it's kind of an old conversation in the magical community, but I am curious to know your opinion, the thoughts of, you see these threads about black and white magic, and they seem to go on and on forever. What's considered black and what's considered white? Every now and then you'll get someone that says, well, magic is magic. It's really up to the person. What's your stance on all that?
It really is that. If you reach back in history and such, magic, it really boils down to is magic being used towards practical ends for some sort of change, gain, or improvement in one's life? Or is it just used for mystical experience? And that's kind of the difference between, I would say, magic and mysticism. Because even healing and such is a manipulation of energies, correspondences, and what's going on. If you're sending out healing, somebody might see that as white magic, but it's still a manipulation. There is definitely good and bad magic, or harmful magic and beneficial magic, if you want to state it a little bit more authentically that way. And I've gotten quite a bit away from the black white thing because it's very kind of juvenile in the beginning kind of stages of how this energy works. And just as like they're chaotic, harmful, or destructive entities, they're the positive ones as well. But the reality is that there's far more angels that are much more destructive and dangerous towards people than there are demons. And that is like a novel concept to most people. But, you have to understand that some of these angels were created to wipe people out, to wipe things out, to change things, and to do it in a very drastic and violent manner at times. That is their function. That is their purpose. You would experience as being bad or evil if you were at the brunt of that angelic sword, so to speak. But in truth, it's no more evil or bad than any other kind of functioning force of reality. So within magic, saying that it really does boil down to the person of that intentionality and what are they going to be moved by? What are they, if you get to experience, if you get a taste of power, you're able to do this, does that motivate you to manipulate more for personal gain? Does that encourage you to be more of service and helpful? And I think, that question is what really drives the power of magic beyond anything else.
Last question I have for you. There's tons of questions in the chat room, and I guess there's you guys probably would. I would just go to his Facebook page or his blog. Definitely go to his blog, and check it out there. But my question to you would be is, why hypnotism? Why not? I mean, like, how come you didn't decide to let people come to you and ask you to read their charts? Or why is it that you are deeper into hypnotism, is what I'm asking.
It's because I started hypnotizing people spontaneously when I was 14 years old. It's just something that I had a knack for, and it just kind of came to. It was very early in my fascination with spiritual things and magical things, and way before I started getting into grimoire and classical work. But I had read a paragraph out of some book that I had about how hypnosis works, and I tried it on my friend, and it worked. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And because I had him hold his arm out for like an hour and he didn't move. And so I was kind of a teenager drunk with power, and tried it on my brother and my parents and friends and pretty much everybody that I knew. And it was kind of, for me, I love to see the kind of effect, because I think it was the most, I tied my magic to that, even though there's a lot of psychology, but through sound, through information and everything, you're having a great effect with somebody that you're engaged with, that you're speaking with. And this was kind of the clearest forms and evidence of magic or some sort of other intentional work really manifesting for me, something that I could really see and touch and see evidence of. And so I kept with it.
Well, I really want to, say thanks for coming on the show. And everybody, you're going to continue writing, I'm sure. And just tell everybody where they can find your works on the web.
Yeah, so my first book can be bought through Amazon.com, Gateways Through Stone and Circle. And then I do have a few anthologies of myself and other authors as well. Holy Guardian Angel, Ritual Offerings, and Liber Spiritum. And that's through Azoth Press, which is also the publisher that published my biggest work and my last work, which is Gateways Through Light and Shadow.
Right on. Well, hey, I want to thank you for coming out on the show. This would have been definitely one of those shows where I'd like to get some exclusive content from you, but there's no way I'm going to do that to you, brother. Sounds like you got to heal that voice, man. Hey, I really appreciate you coming out. This was cool. We'll have to do it again sometime.
This has been my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure as well. All right, guys, that's it. We're at the end of the show. Don't forget to check out Spaced Out Radio if you're listening live after the show. We're going to get out of here. Don't forget, this show was produced by the Fringe FM and cannot be rebroadcast or syndicated without written permission. Music was by Spaceboy, Chronox, and Kevin MacLeod. Remember, spaceboymusic.com. We'll see you guys Saturday at Spaced Out Radio.